Hello everyone, welcome to Brain Blitz Audios. In this episode of NEET preparation, we'll be dealing with previous year questions of medical entrance examinations in India. The subject that we're dealing with is biology, and we'll be looking at the chapter Anatomy of Flowering Plants. This is the 6th chapter in your grade 11 syllabus for CBSE. Let's go with our first question. The quiescent center in root meristem serves as a option A, site for storage of food which is utilized during maturation, B, reservoir of growth hormones, C, reserve for replenishment of damaged cells of the meristem, D, region for absorption of water. Let's look at each of our options. Option A, site for storage of food which is utilized during maturation. Now, what structures are used for storage of food during maturation? These are cotyledons from seeds. So option A is incorrect because the site for storage of food utilized during maturation is cotyledons and not the quiescent center in root meristem. What about option B, reservoir of growth hormones? The problem with this is that growth hormones are produced at target site. So auxins will be produced at the apex, gibberellins will be produced in the intercalary meristem, etc. So option B is incorrect because there is no so-called reservoir which can function for preserving growth hormones. So the quiescent center is not a reservoir of growth hormones. What about option D, region for absorption of water? This is a function of roots in general. So therefore, we cannot say that the quiescent center in root meristem serves as the region for absorption of water. No, there are other regions such as root hairs and trichomes, etc. These are more involved in absorption of water. So option D is incorrect. The right answer is option C, reserve for replenishment of damaged cells of the meristem. The quiescent center was founded by Cloves in 1961, and this is a reservoir of cells in the meristem, and these cells contain low DNA, RNA, and protein. So these are to replace damaged cells. So option C is the right answer. Let's look at our next question. In a plant organ which is covered by periderm and in which the stomata are absent, some gaseous exchange still takes place through A, parenchyma, B, trichomes, C, pneumatophores, and D, lenticels. Now, the question says that gaseous exchange takes place through a plant organ covered by the periderm and in which stomata are absent. So this part will give you our organ. And since the epidermis is covered by the periderm and it does not have stomata, the organ that in question is epidermis. So in epidermis, gaseous exchange takes place through what? Now let's look at each of our options. Option A, parenchyma. This is found in aquatic plants. And this is for flotation. Their function is flotation and not gaseous exchange. Option A is incorrect. What about option B? Trichomes. These are insulating plants from frost. So trichomes are structures which insulate plants from the frost. So option B is incorrect because the function of trichomes is not gaseous exchange. What about option C? Pneumatophores. These are aerial roots, and epidermis is present on the stem. And these aerial roots also undergo gaseous exchange. So it might seem like option C is correct, but since pneumatophores refer to aerial roots and the epidermis is found on the stem, option C is incorrect. The right answer is option D, lenticels. Lenticels are the structures present on the epidermis, which are formed by the cork, which contains suberin, and these lenticels allow gaseous exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. So these support gaseous exchange. Okay, so let's go to our next question. Companion cells in plants are associated with A. Vessels, B. Sperms, C. Sieve elements, and D. Guard cells. So let's look at companion cells. So these are found in the phloem, and they are used for transport. Let's look at each of our options. Vessels are found in xylem, while companion cells are found in phloem, so these cannot be associated. Option A is incorrect. Option B, sperms. Sperms are the male reproductive cell, so there is no transport involved. The cell itself does not do any transport of proteins or other nutrients, so option B is incorrect. What about option D, guard cells? These are found in the epidermis of leaves, and their function is gaseous exchange. Therefore, option D is incorrect. The right answer is option C, sieve elements. Companion cells are associated with sieve elements because sieve elements are enucleated while companion cells are nucleated. And sieve elements are also found in the phloem, where companion cells are. So companion cells and sieve tubes, which are also known as sieve elements, are associated. Let's look at this question. Cork cambium results in the formation of cork, which becomes impermeable to water due to the accumulation of A. resins, B. suberin, C. lignins, and D. tannins. So it means that cork is waterproof. And so we have to find what makes cork waterproof. Let's look at option D, tannins. Tannins are proteins, and these are used in tanning animal leather. So no waterproofing. So option D is incorrect. What about option C, lignin? Lignin is found in xylem cells, and their function is to support the xylem vessels and tracheids. So option C is incorrect. What about option A, resins? These are plant wastes, and they are excreted on the stem. So and these are non-waterproof. So option A is incorrect. The right answer is option B, suberin. So cork cambium contains suberized cell walls, which makes cork waterproof. The right answer is option B. Let's look at this question. Which one of the following statements pertaining to plant structure is correct? So we need to find out which of these four is correct. Let's look at each of our options one by one. Cork lacks stomata, but lenticels carry out transpiration. Transpiration occurs in stomata, and lenticels carry out gaseous exchange only, and that too oxygen inside, carbon dioxide outside. So therefore option A is incorrect. What about option B? Passage cells help in transfer of food from cortex to phloem. Again, this is incorrect because the cells which help in transfer of food from cortex to phloem are not known as passage cells. They are known as companion cells. So companion cells, they take the food in the cortex and then pass it over to the sieve tubes, which then conduct using bulk transportation. Let's look at our next option, option C. Sieve tube elements possess cytoplasm but no nuclei. This is correct. Sieve tubes are assisted by companion cells, which are nucleated. Therefore, sieve tubes contain no nuclei but have a cytoplasm. So option D is also incorrect. Well, option D says the shoot apical meristem has a quiescent center, but if you look at our first question, you'll find out that the meristem which has a quiescent center is root apical meristem. Therefore, we found out that option C is the right answer. Next question. In which one of the following would you expect to find glyoxysomes? Is it A, endosperm of wheat, B, endosperm of castor, C, palisade cells in leaf, and D, root hairs? So glyoxysomes are found in cells of germinating fatty seeds. So that means the seeds which contain glyoxysomes also have a lot of fatty acids. Let's look at each of our options. Option D, root hairs. These have no fatty acids. Option D is incorrect. Option C, palisade cells in the leaf. These are used for photosynthesis in the leaves, which then produces starch. Therefore, option C is also incorrect. What about option A, endosperm of wheat? Wheat is a starchy seed. That's why it is used as a staple crop. Therefore, option A is incorrect. The right answer is option B, endosperm of castor. It's from castor that we get castor oil. So that means it has a lot of oil in it, and oil is essentially fatty acids, higher order fatty acids. Therefore, option B is correct. Glyoxysomes are found in the endosperm of castor. Let's look at this question. Grafting is successful in dicots, but not in monocots because the dicots have A, vascular bundles arranged in a ring, B, cambium for secondary growth, C, vessels with elements arranged end to end, and D, cork cambium. Let's look at each of our options. Cork cambium is option D. Cork cambium helps in growing epidermal tissue. So that means no contribution to vascular tissue. Therefore, option D is incorrect. What about option A? Vascular bundles arranged in a ring. Now, dicots only have vascular bundles arranged in a ring, but they don't help in growing the vascular tissues. And grafting is successful because vascular tissue fuse of the two plants that are being grafted. So in order to fuse, it has to grow. What about option C, vessels with elements arranged end to end? Again, similar to option A. It doesn't help in growing vascular tissue. These may be features of dicots that monocots don't have, but they don't help in growing vascular tissue. The right answer is option B, cambium for secondary growth. The dicots differ over monocots because they have a secondary cambium, and this increases girth. And because of that, grafting is successful in dicots, but not in monocots. Let's look at this question. Two cross sections of stem and root appear simple when viewed by the naked eye, but under the microscope, they can be differentiated by exarch condition of root and stem, endarch condition of stem and root, endarch condition of root and exarch condition of stem, endarch condition of stem and exarch condition of root. In order to understand our options, it is best if we understand what are exarch and endarch. So in exarch condition, the protoxylem, that is the xylem forming first, is towards the pericycle. While the metaxylem, which is the xylem that forms later, is towards the center. In endarch condition, the protoxylem is towards the center. And in endarch condition, the metaxylem is towards the pericycle, which is found in the periphery. So these are the meanings of exarch and endarch condition. So in order to differentiate a stem and root cross section, it is enough to know that stems grow in girth. And growing in girth is possible when there is an endarch condition. So if the stem is endarch, then the root has to be exarch in case of dicots. So option D is correct for dicots. When option A is present, that is exarch condition of both root and stem, we call the plant as a monocot because monocots contain exarch condition. So option A is incorrect. The question is for dicots because the chapter here is anatomy of flowering plants. So they are angiosperm, and these are dicots in general. And Option B, that is end or condition of stem and root, has not been found yet, so it is incorrect. Option C is also incorrect because here again, the stem grows in girth. While in this condition that is given here, it's said that the root grows in girth. Let's look at this question. If a stem is girdled, root dies first, or shoot dies first, or both die together, or none of the above, would die. So it's a pretty good idea to know what girdled means. So girdled means removing of bark of a tree. So the bark contains the epidermis, the phloem, and the pericycle. So these are components of bark, and the removing of bark to make the plant die. So the plant dies in the procedure of girdling of stem. So let's look at each of our options. Option B, shoot dies first. Now, in order for a plant part to die, it needs to have no food. So when there's no food, the plant part starts to die. And shoots contain leaves, which produces food. So the shoot does not die first. It dies eventually because of lack of supplies. But initially, the shoot still gets the nutrition from the soil through the xylem. So option B is incorrect. What about option A? Root dies first. See, when a stem is girdled, the bark is removed. So the phloem is also removed. So the first effect of girdling happens at the roots because the roots do not get enough food from the leaves due to lack of phloem at the site. So option A is correct. So since option B is incorrect, option C has to be incorrect because both cannot die together because the root dies first. And that also means option D is incorrect because a stem being girdled is for making the plant to die. So option D will be incorrect. The right answer is option A, root dies first, because when we remove the bark, we remove the phloem of the plant. Next question. Which of the following statements is or are true? So we have 5 statements here and 4 options. We need to analyze these statements and see whether they're true or false, and then mark the right option. So let's look at our statement A. Uneven thickening of cell wall is characteristic of sclerenchyma. This option is false because uneven thickening of cell wall is not the characteristic of sclerenchyma. It is the characteristic of collenchyma. So that is false. Option B. Periblem forms the cortex of the stem and the root. The periblem forms middle histogen, which later forms the cortex. So option B is true. The statement B is true. What about statement C? Tracheids are the chief water transporting elements of gymnosperms. Tracheids are present in pteridophytes, angiosperms, and gymnosperms. So that means option C, or I mean statement C, is true. What about statement D? Companion cell is devoid of nucleus at maturity. This statement is false because companion cell assists enucleate sieve elements. So therefore, companion cell always has a nucleus, whether in its initial stages or in maturity. Option E, the commercial cork is obtained from Quercus suber. This is correct. Quercus suber is a type of oak from where cork was initially found. Commercial cork was initially found. So after our analysis, we find that statements B, C, and E are true. Now, which of the options says that B, C, and E are true only? That is option D. In option C, it's showing statement C is correct, and there is no mentioning of B and E. I mean, C is correct, but it mentions that option D is also correct, which is not, because statement D is false. So C is incorrect. Again, in option B, there is no mentioning of statement C, which is correct. So, and the question says only. So since C is also correct, this option is incorrect. And finally, in option A, we have statement A being said to be correct, which is not true. So the right answer is option D. Statements B, C, and E only are true, which is correct. Next question. Sclerenchyma usually dash and dash protoplasts. We have to fill in the blanks using the options. A, live without. B, dead with. C, live with. And D, dead without. So sclerenchyma is dead permanent tissue. And these have lignified walls. So therefore, no protoplast. So let's look at option A. When we put the words in, it says sclerenchyma usually live and are without protoplasts. The statement is incorrect because sclerenchyma is dead tissue. Option B. Sclerenchyma usually are dead and are with protoplasts. This is also incorrect. Dead tissue do not contain protoplast. What about option C? Sclerenchyma usually live and are with protoplasts. This is again incorrect because sclerenchyma is dead type of permanent tissue. There is only one type of dead permanent tissue, primary permanent tissue, and that is sclerenchyma. So our right answer is option D. Sclerenchyma is usually dead tissue and it does not have protoplasts. So option D is the right answer. Let's look at this question. The transverse section of a dicot leaf passing through the midrib is given below. Certain parts are indicated by alphabets. We have to choose the correct option. So we have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. And we have 4 options here. So it's on to us to identify the plant parts and label them. So if you look at the options, it is found that all of the options contain A as epidermis. And if you see A, you find out that it lines the exterior, which indeed means that A is the epidermis. Let's look at the part B. Now these are long photosynthetic. So therefore B refers to palisade parenchyma. And if you look at our options, we find that option A does not contain the part B as palisade parenchyma. So option A is eliminated. Now let's look at C. C is given as, so C has a lot of spaces. So therefore it is spongy parenchyma. So again, C in all of these three options has spongy parenchyma. Now, let's look at one more part, D. Now, if you notice, D isn't exactly at the epidermis, and it is surrounded by the spongy parenchyma. So D refers to substomatal space, because this is a space in the leaf and it is surrounded by palisade parenchyma, spongy parenchyma on one end and the stomata on the other. And since it's below the stomata, it's known as substomatal space. And when you look at our options, we find that only option B has the right statement. The others say that stomata is the part D. So our right answer is option B. So the part A is epidermis, the part B is palisade parenchyma, the part C is spongy parenchyma, the part D is substomatal cavity, the part E is stomata, F is phloem, G is metaxylem, and H is bundle sheath. So E is stomata, F is the circular phloem, G is the xylem, which is present in the phloem, the smaller circles in the phloem, and H, which surrounds the phloem, is known as a bundle sheath because it covers both vascular bundles. So the right answer is option B. Let's look at this question. Contractile tissues have the following features. So the first thing is they are mesodermal in origin. 2, they contain stretch receptors. 3, they contain rhythmic contractions. And 4, they do not fatigue during the life of the animal. So according to our chapter, the right answer is option B, because these 3 characteristics are found in contractile tissues. Now, let's look at the penultimate question. Meristematic tissue responsible for the increase in girth of the tree trunk is A. Apical meristem, B. Intercalary meristem, C. Lateral meristem, and D. Phelogen. Phelogen is a part of the epidermis. Option D is incorrect. Apical meristem is present at the apex and it gives increase in height of the plant. So option A is incorrect. Option B, intercalary meristem, it gives increase in internodal length. Option B is incorrect. And the right answer is option C, that is lateral meristem. Lateral meristem gives you the girth, the increase in girth of the tree trunk. Let's look at our final question. In stems, the protoxylem lies towards the dash and the metaxylem lies towards the dash of the organ. So this is dicots, and dicots contain endarc. And in endarc, the protoxylem is towards the center and the metaxylem is towards the periphery. And so therefore, option A is correct. Let's look at each of the other options. Option B, periphery and center. This deals with exarch, and exarch is found in the roots and not the stems. Here the question is about stems. So option B is incorrect. Option C, periphery, periphery. This is not possible because basically you're trying to grow your secondary xylem over the primary xylem, which makes it extremely unlikely. So option C is incorrect. What about option D, center, center? This is found in monocots, while the question is based on dicots. Therefore, option D is also incorrect. So that ends this episode of NEET preparation. We hope that you understood and found the questions informative and engaging. For more of our useful content, please subscribe to our channel, Brain Blitz Audios. We'll be back with more useful and interesting content such as learner words, mind maps, NEET preparation, math, CBSE board exam math questions, etc. So until the next episode, take care, stay safe, ta-ta for now.